All right, folks, here we go on this Thursday. Yes. And the investigation continues. You're gonna enjoy what we have coming up because we are gonna have attorney Stephanie Murphy, who's gonna walk us through. There's a lot of different legal elements to this. Hi there, Janet Dwyer. There's Janet. I would love for someone to reach out to Debbie on YouTube. We have not been communicating with her. I'd love to get a chance to communicate with her. We're going to be starting in just a couple moments, but we'll give everybody a chance to come on and get in now. We also have a special guest coming up later in the hour, and that is one of the neighbors, someone that we're going to speak with someone who actually saw Erica. There's Lynn Miller, interacted with her, saw her in a dumpster getting food. We're going to talk about that and talk to her, coming up. That's going to be a little bit later. Hi there, Nicole. There's Nicole, folks, such a hard worker. Nicole has some tie to Erica, but right now we have the 6th. There's Tyler. Good afternoon, everybody. Yep, it was Cheryl. Thank you. I like hearing that. Listen, this is positive feedback that I like. It is riveting. It's different. This is a different world. We're going to go through. I can't believe, to be honest with you, I can't believe Channel 10 went with the story that they went with. I really can't. Okay, well, you live with them too. Maybe it's time for a change. That's entirely up to you, but something to think about. Not that you could live there now. No, we're not filling anybody in. Gian says the audio is good. Can you fill me in? No, we're not. We're not. This isn't a nursemaid, Kathy. See, Kathy, that's not the way it works. Nope. You're on the wrong page. It can happen. Thank you, Janet Dwyer. I appreciate that. Folks, we have the website, depetro.com. We have videos. It's up to you. I was reading a story just the other day, and in the story, it mentioned, congratulations. It mentioned, good afternoon, John Robitaille. It mentioned a leader that I was unfamiliar with. I didn't type in, who is this leader? I left the information, and then I went and I read, okay, so that's who that leader is. Yeah, well, guess what? See, we have to teach people social media etiquette. If you walk into a room and there's a group of people talking, and Kathy, I'm not trying to single you out, but just why not listen and see you can learn what everyone is talking about. Justice for your baby sister. She did not deserve this. Can we just, thank you, Steve Prescott. Folks, again, I just want to, I'm not trying to nitpick here, but this element of she didn't deserve it. Can we get away with that? All right, Michael, I'm going to ask you to just pause. All right, enough. This isn't, here's the thing, Michael. This isn't about you. Okay, so you have two options here. Ready? Either stop commenting or you're going to be blocked. Those are your options. But I know. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that with attorney Stephanie Murphy. I'm giving people warnings. This isn't about you. So, but folks, this notion she didn't deserve that. I'm just asking her friends and family, you need a better cliche than that. There's no one that does. She didn't deserve it. Oh, really? I mean, what is that even supposed to mean? She didn't deserve that. She didn't deserve losing her life? Of course not. So come up with a better line than that. And I realize maybe it's a sensitive time for some people. There's Bill. All right, now we have some reasonable people entering. There we go. Yes, that's right. You're right, Brooke. It's not happening here. No, you can't. It's rude. There's my friend Bill. There he is. No one has to be rude. All right, Erica's dad is here. All right, that's the first I've heard of that. I didn't know that. He is welcome. We are going to go live again tonight to talk about it. I just want to warn people, it's a little bit of a different format because in 3 minutes, we're going to be live on the radio as well. We're going to be live on the radio as well. Here's a spoiler alert. I'm not doing NPR. This is not NPR. So there are commercials. This isn't commercial free. Tonight will be commercial free. The next hour is not commercial free, just so everyone understands. So Ed Dionne, okay. I'm assuming that is her dad, and I'm very sorry to hear that. And I see Alexis. Okay, I didn't realize that. Erica's dad, Mike Dionne. Okay, I'm very sorry, Mike. You can send me a direct message. I'd be happy to talk to you. I'd be happy to provide you a platform to talk about your daughter. And I'm sure how difficult this is. Now I see who it is. This is Erica's dad, Mike Dionne. Mike, again, very, very sorry. If someone could explain to him how to send a direct message, I'd be happy to give you a platform later. We gave we gave Alexis a platform last night. That's what it is. Folks, somebody's going to look at this. How do I listen? Normally through your ears. This is what I have to deal with. How do I listen? Listen, if you have to ask a question like that, I don't think I can help you. There's Debbie. There she is. Debbie, please send me a message. Please send me a message, Debbie. Debbie is valued. Debbie is absolutely valued. So Debbie is fantastic. Debbie is our star. Debbie, send me a direct message. Yes, they do look like deliverance. All right, we're going to start in just a moment. Again, I'm going to let the mods take over the chat because we're going to be focusing on the matter at hand. And I'm not going to keep going back and forth. I'm just trying a couple of things. Number one, there will be commercials. Number two, we're going to talk to attorney Stephanie Murphy. And then we're going to speak to a neighbor that actually saw Erica going through the trash. Now, later tonight, since it's going to rain, I believe we'll be live. If you would like to be on later, you could send a direct DM to the page, and then I can send you a link. So the easiest thing to do is if you go to DePetro.com, not only did we break the story, we have everything that you need to learn about the story. Folks, this portion of our program, and it's brought to you by PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center, and they have everything you need for all your fall decorations. Stop in and see them. 3688 Quaker Lane in North Kingstown. It's Steve and Debbie and Junior and Byron. It's PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center, where they have a tremendous selection. You know, fall is such a beautiful time. They also have homegrown mums and kale. They have pumpkins, straw bales, corn stalks, everything you need. And this is the ideal time for planting. It's PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. All right, let me just remove those goons for the moment. We can always bring them back if we have to or will for reference. But DePetro.com, which has been expanding records, and that is because we have broken more stories. There are some people that are still, your media habits are in the 90s. Doug White is not walking through that door. Walter Cryan is not walking through that door. Jack White, Jim Taricani, they're not walking through that door. Those days are over. Folks, I implore you to embrace the new media. We broke the Pontiac gym teacher story. We broke this story. And we also broke the Smith. That's just this month. We also broke the Rehoboth story and a lot on that. visit DePietro.com. Brought to you by the Coesit Inn, 226 Coesit Avenue, West Warwick. Lunch, dinner, drinks in the lounge, and they're waiting for you at the Coesit Inn. So, no, we're not talking that. We're not talking about the firefighter. I did see that he got sentenced, but no, we are not. That's not what we're talking about. And actually, in the headline, it kind of says what we're going to be talking about. So, we're going to ask our legal expert, attorney Stephanie Murphy. I know some people are upset that those individuals are out on bail. I think, and we're going to bring her on right now. I think many of you have to understand the charges. Now, folks, again, I just want to remind you, and there could be some people involved here, and maybe Alexis and Ed. It comes in handy if you could call an attorney and say, I need some legal advice. Here's what I implore you to do. And actually, it goes to both Ed and Alexis, and that is contact attorney Stephanie Murphy, Marin Barron Murphy, 401-228-8271. 50 years combined Rhode Island criminal defense experience. Listen, I'm not saying everyone needs a criminal defense attorney, but if you tell her your problem, she could refer you to someone, or maybe there's someone else in her firm that can handle it. I'm coming to the table with something. I'm offering you a free consultation. Stephanie Murphy, Marin Barrett and Murphy, and I recommend Ed and Alexis contact them. 401-228-8271. And with that, let's bring her on, folks, our legal expert, and it is attorney Stephanie Murphy. Stephanie, I want to start off, and there's a lot of different dynamics with this Central Falls story. And so let's do this. I have some very pointed questions, but I'd like to defer to you just what you've heard about the story and what are some of the legal aspects of this unique story that you've seen so far.
So what I've seen is really just kind of a well-being check, friends being very concerned with this individual, maybe having bruises, injuries, well-being checks, couldn't find this individual. And then, the ultimate nightmare turns out to be true. And there seems to be so many different people involved. I think it's very rare that this early that they know all these people who are involved. I mean, there's serious charges. And if you're a conspirator within that group, I mean, you're getting charged with everything, not just, a small role. So it's very fascinating, the large group of people, the mix of males and females who are also involved. That's kind of rare to see that, males and females are involved in a cover up, involved in everything. So it's kind of fascinating to watch it, the investigation and how everything's developing. But it's definitely, a scary situation and people's worst nightmares.
Let's start with that well-being check in April. From what we learned, Central Falls Police, they went to this residence and they were told the individual is not there. Now, it's not a family member. It's just someone staying there. In that situation, what rights do the police have and what can they do? What can't they do?
Well, typically when you see a well-being check, it's a family member calling and saying, hey, I live out of state, or this person didn't show up at work. Can you go to their house and see if they're there? That's typically what the police kind of go into. They don't go into thinking that they're part of a crime or being injured. I think it's more like a health well-being check. Hey, this person didn't show up at work. They haven't returned my phone calls. I can't stop by the house. Can you stop by the house? So when the police do that, I think their instinct is, okay, they go to the house. They're not there. I don't know what questions were asked, if there was any follow-up. But if the police are going there just on a well-being check without any more information, they're really not going to follow up too much other than to be like, okay, somebody answered the door. Somebody, addressed the questions, answered the questions. And I don't think a lot of times the police would really follow up on what's said unless multiple phone calls are made.
Stephanie, and so we've heard from the people that lived in the house. It sounds like it was a very transient group in and out of the house. People are claiming that there is a stairwell and that they were potentially hiding her here. Here's what I want to clarify. In a well-being check, it's my understanding, it's not a search warrant. So what I mean by that is the police don't have the right. They can't just barge past these people. It's not someone under the age of 18. It's not a child endangered. It's a 24-year-old woman. And I think people need to be realistic that these, and by the way, I've seen videos of these individuals when they're stopped. They're very well aware of their rights, and meaning some of the people involved. And they're, I have the right of this and the right of that. So just clarify, police, and I'm trying to be realistic with people, but they can't just barge past people and just start looking through and ransacking someone's home.
I know, especially if when they go to the door on a well-being check and their questions are answered and they're not hearing screaming or seeing anything, if they see or hear something and they want to do more, they can go get a search warrant, or the police can ask, hey, can I go in? Can I take a look around? This is my second time calling. Can you give me her cell phone number? Can you tell me where she is? Can you take me to her location? If she's at work, I'm going to call right now while I'm here with you. I'm going to call, see where she is. But on a well-being check without any more information or any evidence that a crime could have occurred or anyone's in danger, a typical well-being check, the officer can always ask, but I don't know how many times they would ask if their questions are being answered, in all honesty.
Okay. And again, these are adults and, they're not kids. So, there's children involved and these individuals, now suspects, but they're not like young. I think some of them are even close to 40. They seem to be, let's just say, familiar with law enforcement, and they're familiar with what police can and can't do. And
many
so,
times
go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So there's many times that, maybe if there was no wrongdoing with this girl and this girl was just out somewhere, not there, an individual's not going to want a police officer to come into the house to see something else that has nothing to do with this girl. There's a lot of reasons that, people don't invite people into the house, even with immigration concerns nowadays. There's so many reasons. And anyone who is smart, if the police show up at their door and ask to come in, I hope the first thing somebody would do is call an attorney. But if not, but you're right, John, it's not a search warrant. It's not a 911 call. It's not a crime in progress. So there are definitely limitations of what the police can do, even if they wanted to do more.
Yeah. And I also just want to stress to people, and Stephanie, we've learned from talking to friends of hers and also people that lived in the house. Now, I want to remind people that that well-being check was April. In August, this poor woman, but she was living in Westerly with a cousin. So my point is, I was actually shocked at the Channel 10 story, because it's not as if the police went to the house last week and then they didn't locate her, and then suddenly, hours, days later, she, was found dead. I think the fact that in August that she was in Westerly, that I think that, I'm not running any defense for these people, but I think it undermines almost the notion that she was endangered in that moment.
Right. If through the investigation, they learned where she is, that she's free to travel, living with different people, meeting up with different people. It definitely is another view of the story and another, investigation and picture to take a look at in terms of what the police knew, what the friends knew, what everybody knew at the time, and where she was and who she was communicating with, her phone, all of that is now kind of under investigation.
Let's touch on, many people are surprised that these individuals, bail was set, and they're not only making bail, but several of them, if not, many of them are out on bail. Again, and maybe you can touch on, that doesn't mean there couldn't be more charges coming, but as of right now, it sounds like they're being charged suspicious death, and they're being charged that essentially that they moved the body and put her body in, hide the body in Pawtucket. Yeah.
As we have discussed, there's only certain crimes in Rhode Island where it's a hold without bail. In all honesty, there's a presumption that bail will get set on almost every charge, except for some of the capital charges, or if you're a probation or a bail violator. So, through our laws and the Constitution, there is a presumption of bail because you're innocent until proven guilty. And that's what I think people, you could look as guilty as possible at this point, but you're innocent until proven guilty, and you have a right to bail unless certain, criteria is met. So it doesn't mean that the case isn't strong. It doesn't mean that more charges aren't coming. But in terms of, they want to get the charges right. They want to do their investigation. They want to issue the search warrants and everything like that. And the bigger charges might come later down the road, or they might not come. But I would rather have them charged with something, be out on bail, search warrants issued, and the cops and the law enforcement get the right charges and do it the right way. So, you don't know what charges are coming or if that's it or what the investigation will show. but there's many times where there's even a secret indictment that they don't even know they're being investigated for, a capital crime, and there's a secret indictment. So there's many ways and tools that law enforcement have, but just because they're out on bail doesn't show any sign of the weakness or the strength of the case. It's just the presumption of innocence.
I want to do a couple hypotheticals with Stephanie Murphy. Stephanie, obviously the person lost their life. But what potential charges could we be looking at? This was, from what we know, Erica was staying in the apartment, in and out of the apartment. I mean, let's just say there was a disagreement or there was some kind of a fight. I think people have a wrong understanding of, unless I'm wrong, this doesn't sound like a first-degree murder charge. This sounds like eventually, if there are charges, it would be more akin to a second degree or even a manslaughter type of charge.
Right. There's so many different degrees and stuff like that. First degree is most serious. There's second, there's manslaughter. There's, a murder committed within a course of committing a felony. There's different gun charges, knife charges, assault charges, conspiracy charges, moving bodies, not cooperating. There's a whole list of different charges that can go on and on and on. But first degree murder is a premeditated murder that someone's planned out and seeks to do and actually accomplish. Second and manslaughter are still very, very serious charges, but they're lesser. Sometimes, the state will charge with a higher and then, seek for a lesser included offense. Sometimes they charge with a lesser and or the grand jury can indict on different charges too. So there's a lot of different charges from the facts in this case, and you don't really know how it's going to be laid out, but it can be, like you said, manslaughter and stuff like that you didn't intend to cause a death, but as a result of your actions, that's what happened.
Now, I interviewed a neighbor that believes she heard an altercation and screaming on Sunday night. Body was found Monday morning. Let's just play that out. There's 6 people that have been charged. Now, the body was found in Pawtucket, and then it traced back to the apartment, and 6 are charged. Is it possible that one or more of the 6 are cooperating, and that's how police knew these 6 people are the ones involved?
Yeah, yes. Or it could be somebody else in the apartment that saw video footage of people coming and going, knowing that they were around, walking in at the same time, stuff like that. But if they have approximate time of death or, the manner of death, they kind of work backwards for different videos. As we talk about, everything's electronic, search warrants for video, Ring doorbells, cell phones, communications, like what, internet search lookups. You don't know what the police have, but absolutely, that can definitely be a possibility.
And Stephanie, the fact that there are 6, so is this possible? Let's play this out. So you have a group of people in an apartment, at least maybe 7. There's been sometimes more people, but if there's a number of people in this apartment and some kind of a fight or disagreement, whatever breaks out, and someone is actually, a homicide is committed, right there, by just even being silent. Let's say one of the people said, you know what, I don't want any part of this, and left. What people need to understand is it's a little bit of in for a penny, in for a pound. That you legally certainly could be charged that you knew there was a death and you didn't report it.
Right. There's a duty to report and stuff like that. So, or whether or not, you always hear the classic law school story of, you're in a car, you drive someone to a gas station and a murder occurs during a robbery. You're on the hook for, the murder and the robbery. You drove the person there. So it really depends on the person's involvement in it. If they just walk in and, witness something, didn't do anything as a part of it, then, they're in a better light than if they're in the apartment arguing with the person and the person, right next to them, commits a homicide. It really depends on the facts, and also depends on, the inside people either cooperating, not cooperating, and what evidence they have against you. But that's kind of why we have the info process, the screening process, and the grand jury process.
Yeah. Is there any scenario so far from what we've learned of this where the police, there could be some culpability on behalf of the police? Potentially.
In a civil, yeah, there's always culpability that could be, just put out there about civil liability, what the police should do, what they could have done, what the neighbors could have done. whether or not somebody should have gotten a restraining order, if a restraining order was, applied for, if it wasn't granted. There's so many different ways, to be like the Monday morning quarterback to say this should have been done. But that's how people change their
Yeah.
policies and stuff like that. But whether or not there's civil liability to it, that has to meet that level for civil liability. But lawsuits are filed so many times without the proper, liability and proof. So you can really sue anyone for any reason. It's just whether or not it stands the test of time and the legal standards.
Yeah. I want to just, and you're so terrific with it, but I do want to touch on a couple of other stories. This woman in Foster, she's accused of stabbing a man in Foster. They get a call, there's someone bleeding, they go there. Could that woman potentially, this woman in Foster, could she potentially use a self-defense case?
Yeah, absolutely. So self-defense is an affirmative defense. So it's something that basically the state has to be able to prove the charge. And then as a defense attorney or defendant, you advocate that it was in self-defense. So basically the crime was committed, but you're justified in your actions due to self-defense. So absolutely. But it goes into a bunch of specific factors, also goes into whether or not, you're able to flee, walk away from the situation, de-escalate it, who was the first aggressor. A lot comes into play. And in my experience, a lot of cases do go to trial because the person did do something to assault someone or hurt somebody. And then you basically have to prove that it was self-defense on the second part of the case. So it definitely happens all the time. It's much better to win a case that the state can't meet the facts and have to rely on an affirmative defense. But it's definitely a defense in many different domestic cases.
Stephanie, we have this trio plotted to toss drugs over the Bristol County Jail wall. I heard from someone not long ago, it wasn't that particular correctional facility, but they were trying to ask me if, I think his brother, if I have it right, he didn't know what was in the bag. And he said he had people that could swear he didn't know what was going to be in the bag that he was tossing over the wall at the ACI. Is that a defense that would hold up?
I don't think so. You're throwing something over a wall in a prison that even if it was like a sticker or like a thank you card or like a birthday card, that's just not allowed. And to, I guess, be that naive to be like, I didn't check. I don't think, there's other ways that you could defend that case possibly, but I don't know what it was sort of defense would really help too much when you're doing something that is wrong.
All right. And if Anton is watching, I did ask Stephanie, his brother was going to put him up to it. I said it didn't sound like a good idea. And you confirmed that. One other story before we get to Murphy's Law. This situation now in Smithfield High School, Stephanie, the students' families filed a police report. So you have a hazing incident and, people are upset with the discipline that was handed out. But, if you're the parents of the students that supposedly did this allegedly to this Jewish student, where could this potentially end up actually as charges if someone wants to say, boy, this sounds like a hate crime?
Well, a hate crime, that's definitely one way it can go. An assault and battery is putting somebody in fear of a bodily touching. It doesn't necessarily have to be an assault with a fist, how you typically think of it, but, putting somebody in a room and, lock, whatever the facts show or whatever. There could be some criminal charges and there definitely could be some civil lawsuits as we just talked about. But this was a story I was actually going to bring up to you for Murphy's Law. It's interesting with the dynamics of like civil and criminal cases and where the lines are. And also, the school handbook, the school committee, the school policies of what hazing is. It kind of crosses all those lines and it's kind of a gray area because it does cross all those lines. Is it criminal? Is it civil? Is it a violation of the student handbook? It's just a case that kind of goes through all the different areas of civil and criminal possibilities.
Yeah, it sounds also like the school superintendent, they underestimated the severity of this because of the dynamic of what we've learned involved. Jewish student, put him in a locker, saying various anti-Semitic things. It sounds like it potentially went beyond just, they're going to get detention or suspended from the team, that although they may have thought it was just hazing and roughhousing, whatever you want to say, but it sounds like it seemingly maybe potentially crossed the line. Stephanie, excellent job as always. We're going to continue to talk to you about the Central Falls story, and we will talk to you again.
Thanks, John. Have a great day. Bye.
Okay. Folks, isn't she terrific? I am just so thrilled that we have access to her. And again, there are people watching right now. All right. And people ask me, what would I do? Family member, friend, yourself, call her. As Antoine said, who's that lady you have on? Stephanie Murphy, 401 228 8271. Now, we're going to have and speak in just a couple moments with, boy, she was just terrific. We're going to speak with a neighbor. And I also, what I was surprised at, I know that they're having this thing against the Central Falls police, and I can see that people are posting about it. I listen, if that people want to do that, and people, it's going to make people feel better. I believe the more I've learned about this, and we have learned a lot. I mean, it's Thursday, and we first posted the story Tuesday night. They found the body on Monday. By the way, if you check DePetro.com, we're the only ones that have photos of when they actually found her body in Pawtucket on Monday. I mean, to me, this sure seems to go at I don't know what, I was going to say the landlord, and I should have asked Stephanie about that, but people have said if you're a landlord and if someone's paying their rent, it's almost impossible to evict someone. So, but the more we learn about this, I'm going to post later on the website. There's a TikTok video of Josh and I think Stephanie of the crew getting stopped at Kennedy Plaza. And they get them out of the car. This is a while ago, and someone filmed it. And it's not like they don't know their rights. They're barking to the police, and we know what our rights. See that if Central Falls police showed up at that apartment, you just heard from Stephanie again. If people want to have this rally against the police, then it's a free country, and you can do that. But I think I think people, to me, they're trying to use the police as a scapegoat. I'm not exactly sure what the police were could have done, but and especially after last night when we talked with a friend of hers, and a friend of hers, Erica, offered if she wanted to stay with her. She was initially going to let her stay with her. And then she's got the boyfriend. And then they're asking if she can turn tricks out of the apartment. I mean, I just, it just, again, I agree with, speak no ill of the dead, but I think it's a little more, it's not exactly the way some people are mapping this out. So now we're going to talk with a neighbor, and then later tonight we'll go a little more in depth. But there's just also, I'm not going to keep correcting everything, but there were people that saw her out of the apartment. As I said, she was living in Westerly in August. So I know some people are saying they would never let her leave. Well, you're going to hear a neighbor that saw her eating out of the dumpster. This was not a Silence of the Lambs. This was not, and I meant to ask Stephanie about that, about what's the process that a family has to go through. I meant to. That's my fault, to ask for legal guardian of an adult. It's not an easy process. I'm dealing with another family that's trying to go through that. And it's pretty lengthy of what they have to go through. It's not the easy process that people think it is. Folks, I want to remind you about Watson Materials. Call them today, 401-885-0600. Landscape lighting, pavers, retaining walls, natural stone, cobblestone, decorative stone. Watson Materials, 401-885-0600. Call Sean, request a quote at Watson Materials, 401-885-0600. So I want to thank, I have a TikTok video of, it looks like Stephanie and Josh, and they're at Kennedy Plaza. and it's in the afternoon, and they were claiming that they were waiting for someone to get out of work and so forth. But it sure sounds what some people have said, which is this group, they would cruise Kennedy Plaza and look for people in need, specifically maybe young females in need. And I'll post it on the website after 2:00. And these people are screaming at the police, and you got to leave them alone, and they have rights, and you have no right to pull them over. And I'm pretty sure that's probably what they were doing. They were probably looking for recruits, and right there at Kennedy Plaza. We heard the story of a friend that saw her at Kennedy Plaza. These people that hang around KP at Kennedy Plaza. And, Erica's walking with a guy, and it sure looks like he's trying to line her up for some dates. But this person we're going to talk to also saw the wedding, remembers the wedding day. She told me August 5th, and said they made Erica watch from the window. They wouldn't let her down. So maybe they were afraid that she was going to. August 5th is a Tuesday. Maybe. It doesn't sound like it was a heavy work crowd. And I understand what people are saying, that they took her phone, but this isn't. And again, I'll let this person speak for herself. This wasn't whispering, "Help me." This woman said to Erica, anytime you need food, just knock on my door. When Erica did approach, and I'll let her tell the story, did approach her and her boyfriend, the only thing she asked for was weed. So I don't know, people are almost acting as though she was a child that was just completely taken advantage of. And I'm not saying that the system is not friendly, so to speak, to adults, whatever term you want to use, whatever term. I don't want to get caught up on terms. Special need adults, special need adult. We had this with Kylie, where Kylie didn't seem the right type that could make good decisions, the girl in Rehoboth, and then ultimately was killed by Greg Groom, and then buried right in the yard. So, but for all the people that are saying that poor Erica couldn't make decisions, and she couldn't speak, and she was this and that, I guess part of that is true, but when she was speaking with this woman and her boyfriend, she wasn't saying, "You got to help me get me out of here." She was saying, "Can I get some weed?" Or, the friend we had on last night, I thought her friend was really excellent, and was saying she was willing to let her stay there. But then, her and the boyfriend are trying to arrange dates. And I know her family are in the chat, and I know that's tough to listen to, but I'm just trying to offer I'm trying to offer a balanced approach. I was very surprised at that Channel 10 story last night. I was, because some of the people that are pushing the April well-being check, to me, they're acting as though the police went there on a Saturday. They said she's not here, and then she's dead Monday. From April to, I don't know, October, she was free from Westerly from them. She was living in Westerly. Again, I'll let this woman tell her story. She's going to be joining us in just a moment. And again, I'll give the family a platform. If people want to blame the police, then blame them. I'm not going to try to talk anybody out of it. But at the same token, and by the way, a number of people sending me text messages of this person said this happened, and is this your girl? And she got hit. I've seen them all. I do have some questions, though. I don't understand why these people that were communicating with her, why didn't they arrive there and say, "Hey, I'm outside," or "Hey, there she is," or "Hey, we got to get you out of there," or something. I mean, from April. What about when she was in Westerly, living with the cousin? Then she was free of that crowd. I don't know how she ended up back there. I don't. Other than I know some people say maybe she was living in the woods, and I get the whole thing. Beggars can't be choosers. These people are saying you can stay with us, and it sounds terrible. And not feeding her and making her clean. No, it sounds like a horror show. It sounds like a house of horrors. But again, and if there are people that feel better by blaming the police, then I'm not going to stand in your way. This portion of the program, folks, brought to you by ServPro. ServPro of Providence. Call them today, 401 941 5500. 401 941 5500. ServPro of Providence. Fast, thorough, professional. When disaster strikes, it sounds like ServPro needs to go over to that apartment on Central Street in Central Falls. Now, ServPro, they handle water damage, fire, mold, storm recovery. Fast, thorough, professional, 401 941 5500. And let me be very clear. Listen, obviously, I feel terrible like everyone else does about this situation. And I think it's also normal if you are a friend of hers or family. I think, and I've dealt with these. Listen, it's very normal for people to feel maybe I could have done something. Should I have done this? The thing with Kylie in Rehoboth, that was a little bit different because I don't think anyone thought he was going to do it. I want to be very clear. To me, the blame falls with these six. And they seem to be some real operators there. Josh, Liz, Stephanie, the two at the bottom on the screen. There's TikToks of the two of them kissing and they're in love. And I've heard that essentially everyone, Andrew, that everyone in that apartment, it was kind of a free-for-all, so to speak. So she was 24 years old, and that can't be ignored. I may have Stephanie Murphy on tomorrow because I did want to mention that. It's very limited, folks, oh, good. Okay, here is I believe, this should be our friend Tatiana. Is that you, Tatiana?
Yes.
Tatiana. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Okay. I can hear you fine. Okay. I'll tell you what, I'm going to let you get adjusted, get comfortable. We don't have to, if you like, okay. The audio is fine. There is a button where you can cover the camera. And so we'll just hear the audio. It's right there. But I'm going to give you a moment to get settled. Otherwise, you could just put it there. The audio is the most important. Okay, there I think it is. See where it says StreamYard? You also could have put in your name, but that's totally fine. Just bear with me because I want to remind people about Propane Plus. Folks, call Propane Plus today. Heating and cooling, 401-885. We lost her. She'll come back. 401-885-4209 or in Massachusetts, 508-252-3359 for Propane Plus. For all your heating and cooling, you can depend on Propane Plus. All right, we'll let our friend come back. Okay, here she is. All right, there you are. Can I, how would you like me to refer to you? How would you like me to refer to you?
You can call me Tati.
All right, Tati. All right, Tati, you and I had a nice conversation. I appreciate you agreeing to come forward. I could hear in your voice, you are someone that you saw Erica and you were trying to help Erica. And I'd like you to talk a little bit about that.
Okay, so this was like in the summer. Erica used to like clean their house, I guess, and like she would be like next to the garbage, but she's going through the garbage. She's looking for food, so I had to tell her like I cook every day. I don't eat leftovers. Whenever you're hungry, just knock on my door. She would never knock on my door. Like, I would have to see her outside next to the dumpster, like, and offer her food.
And I want to clarify for people. So the homes there, instead of everyone just having separate garbage, they literally had a dumpster. So if you live on the first floor, the third floor, second, wherever, you went and you tossed your garbage in the dumpster. And Tati, she actually saw Erica going through the trash bags that were in the dumpster looking for scraps of food.
Multiple times.
Wow. And tell us, you were telling me she was basically like in a, not dressed up, t-shirts, sweatpants. She at one point had long hair, and then you saw. Go ahead, talk a little bit about the hair.
So I used to be in Kennedy Plaza. I used to see Erica out there. Her hair was so long. Like, in the summer, one day she came outside, she had no hair on her head. I thought like something happened to her, like when you get sick or something, but you don't lose your hair all at
Right.
once.
Cancer, radiation. Right. Cancer treatment. They lose their hair. It was not that.
It was just awful. Like, you would hear them, like they would all be outside. She's upstairs. Look, like they got married in the backyard, and they made her watch from the window.
That is now when she was watching from the window, was her hair starting to grow back, or was it still?
No, I think they kept cutting it.
They kept cutting her hair.
Yeah.
Okay. And you even told me the odor was so bad that if they opened the windows,
you could smell that. Yes, definitely.
You could smell the second floor apartment if they open the windows from the outside.
Even if they leave the door open, like the outside door, like the back door.
Yep.
It, like, they have like 30 animals in there. Somebody came over here like 2 days ago to get some animals, but they didn't take all of them. The guy only took like 8 dogs out. They left all the cats. Like, but if I go outside right now, you'll be able to hear like dogs barking, cats meowing, like.
Well, we'll stay right here for now, just because I like the connection. Now, also, and people are asking what the smell was like. You were saying it smelled like urine or like animal smell.
Yeah, it smelled awful, like awful.
Yeah.
It smelled like pee,
Yeah.
like, and like just animals, like nasty, like dirty.
Now, and this was from outside.
Yeah, I never been in that apartment.
Yeah, you never went to any of the parties or anything?
No,
No. All right. Now, you were also telling me that was nice. The day of the wedding, they had the wedding outside, and being a nice neighbor,
I gave them $30, and I gave them like a pack of hot dogs, because they was like, they had the grill going. There wasn't no food on the grill. There's kids out there. Like, I'm like, what the heck? This is the least I could do. Like, these are my neighbors.
Yes. No,
I would have never thought in a million years like these people was like that, though. Like, honestly, I didn't even know Erica was getting abused. Like, if I knew that, I would have went up there. I would have got her, and I would have told her, come in my house. Like, you feel me?
Right.
That's fucked up, because it's like, if you really knew her.
All right, hold on. You remember, you got to watch your language. You got to watch your language, okay? So
if you knew her, you would know there was something wrong with her.
Okay. Now let's talk about because you were doing so well. But let's talk about when you did interact, your man, she asked your man, hey, I only have $4, but can I get some weed? And he actually was generous.
He was getting blessed. Yeah, she would have $3-4. My man will give her like a 20 sack of weed, like a $20, like, you feel me? Like,
Yes.
we just felt so bad for her, like, but we didn't know what was going on. All
Right.
we
And it was
seen was
Josh
her
and
going in
Liz.
a dumpster.
Yeah. It was Josh and Liz that got married back in the
Yeah,
summertime.
yeah.
So that
But all of
now,
them, like all of the people who, all them
yeah.
6 people, they're all in a relationship and they was all abusing her.
Now, and here's the thing that I want to touch on, and that is that you and your man had a chance to speak with her. You were telling me that when you would find her at the dumpster, that was when the rest of them were not home. So it's almost like she was sneaking out. But here's the thing: you said to her, if you need food, knock on my door, right?
Yes.
Come, well, let us help you. But I just want to clarify, she didn't say, you got to get me out of here. She didn't say, you got to help me. All she said
No.
was, can I get some weed?
She was hungry and she wanted to smoke. That was it.
Yeah.
Like, that was it.
That was it. Okay. And did you also see another girl that was there that maybe had a fake eye and long hair? Did you see her as well? Or was it, but you dealt, yes. You remember her?
John, there have been so many people in and out of their house. Like about 15 people was in that house every day of the week. Like, sleeping.
Wow.
You feel me? Like, so
Yeah.
I don't know them people. Like, when I moved here in 2022, I met
Yep.
John and I met Josh and I met Liz.
Don't put me in this. Don't drag me into this.
Like,
I would not
that
be
was
cut
their
out for that
house.
type of living. I didn't even get a wedding invite, for crying out loud. So, but you said it just sounds like it was and by the way, I think this is also interesting. You noticed there was a change in demeanor recently, meaning
Yeah, like they
recently,
stopped talking to me.
yes, which is very, that's really strange.
I'm like, what the fuck? Fuck you too.
All right, hold on. Now listen, we're gonna I can't, again, I'm gonna put you on deck because we're gonna talk to you coming up at 2, but we are live on the radio right now. And so you gotta watch your language. We'll bring her back at 2 when we don't have that. But we spoke, we had a long conversation this morning, and she was totally fine. And I can understand people then get a little revved up, and then some of the language starts to fly. Again, at 2:00, if we're just live on X and YouTube and Facebook, it's totally fine. We are live on AM 1380, 99.9 FM, and also on our website, depetro.com. This portion of the program, as we try to bring things back, again, folks, it is horrific to hear about. You heard a firsthand account of someone. She remembers the wedding. I thought that was pretty generous to say, hey, listen, congratulations on your wedding, and here is $30 and some hot dogs. They had a grill, no food, kids there. I mean, the whole thing just sounds pretty chaotic. But I want to remind you of Corey at Quality Asphalt Seal Coating. Call today, 401-283-9815. 401-283-9815 for Quality Asphalt Seal Coating. Get your garage epoxied. Epoxy garages, patios, decorative concrete flooring, sport court, pickleball court, tennis court. Quality Asphalt Seal Coating, 401-283-9815. So obviously, folks, again, I also want to just stress to people that I don't think some people recognize, I know they don't actually, how difficult it can be if you are a family member and you're dealing with someone who you just, they're not seeing the bigger picture, or how can I say, they're just not understanding just how this situation is. It can be incredibly frustrating, and people like this. And again, I'm not trying to. Let's make no mistake about it. You know, as Stephanie Murphy said, our legal expert, these 6 people are facing very serious charges. And that's why I don't understand, to be quite honest, that the notion that some people are saying she didn't deserve this. I mean, no human deserves that. As I said, I didn't understand when people saying that about Charlie Kirk. Charlie didn't deserve that. You mean getting shot in the neck and killed on a college campus? Why? Am I missing something? Is there someone that would deserve this? Of course she didn't. She didn't deserve it. No one deserves it. But I really believe the blame goes with these 6 individuals. And I again, I have dealt with families trying to difficult to navigate an adult. And when they hit 18, folks, in our society, when you turn 18, you're an adult and you're on your own. And I hear from, there are parents that have special needs children. And under the age of 18, there's a lot of programs for autistic and special needs children. But once they turn 18, very, very difficult. So I again, if people want to go and protest, I don't think it's the nature. I mean, I think there's a lot to take from this, unless someone does an investigation. But even if, I know people are saying that they were hiding her in the house, but even if they had found her, let's just say they said, yes, she's right here. You just heard she was interacting with a neighbor. She never said, hey, can you help me? She never said, you're going to get me out of here. Can you get me a ride somewhere? Can I make a phone call? It was looking in the dumpster for food and then calling for weed. I know her cousin, who was living in Westerly, reached out and said, I want to explain what happened when she was living with us in Westerly. That tells me in Westerly, in August, she was safe. At least she was away from this crew, and somehow ended up back there. When her friend that we had on last night, who's now married to an ex of Erica, I mean, that's the type of friend you want and need, who said, listen, you can stay here with me and my young child. And then, Erica and the boyfriend was saying, would you mind, she wants to have a guy come over and there's going to be exchange of money for a relationship. I mean, that is, and I don't blame her friend, who, by the way, I was very impressed with. Her friend was like, no, you're not doing that here. So I'm not saying, I don't have an answer on how this whole thing broke down. But, it is, there's a lot at play here. There's a lot at play. This is another example, much like Kylie. Kylie had family in Attleboro. Kylie was living with her aunt in Attleboro. But when Kylie got tossed from the shelter for not being home on time, she asked for an Uber to the home of Greg Groom. But she had been living with an aunt. My point is, I do feel for the families and family members that, you had her ex, Frank, last night saying, she stole from me. She cheated on me. She lied to me. There was other things. I mean, these people, it can be very, very difficult. It's very tough. And then you also, I think sometimes, admittedly, they're not getting the best advice. When we covered the Kylie story in Rehoboth, there you had, remember the friend, Kylie? I said, Kylie, that whole thing, and Mama Bear saying, poor Kylie was saying, can I come stay with you? And then the mother saying, go to Crossroads, telling an 18-year-old girl, go to Crossroads. Now, again, I get it. They're difficult. They don't know how to take care of themselves. They're not responsible. They don't eat properly. They don't clean up. They don't exercise proper hygiene, people that run into problems, they can steal things, they lie, they certainly hang around with the wrong crowd. It is a problem. It's a problem for families on how to deal with someone like that. I was also dealing with some parents. They found their son. They found their son. They were looking for him. He was missing for 2 months. They finally found him. What was he doing? Living in an encampment, homeless encampment, doing drugs all day. They placed him in a drug rehab center. Finally. And then within 48 hours, he's in his mid-20s. He checked himself out. And there's nothing they could do. And by the way, there's nothing that the facility could do either. So very, very difficult. And my point is, again, I'm not trying to talk anybody out of anything. I found the Channel 10 story. I was very surprised Channel 10 ran the story they did, which is, she didn't deserve this. And it's the police's fault because in April, when they went by the house, she was hiding in there. But that was April. She was long out of that house since then. I was just surprised Channel 10 ran that story. Again, if this had been that the police went there on a Saturday and they're hiding her, and then the police leave, and then on Monday the body's found, a little bit of a different deal. But I just think, there were different opportunities here. I do, that this could have had a different result. All right, now listen, if you're listening to the radio, stay tuned for the 2 o'clock news. We're going to be back tonight at 7. We're going to be back tonight at 7 because it's supposed to rain, and we'll continue to follow up. I have some other updates we're going to be posting on our website, which is depetro.com. This guy, he always comes up with who caused the crime. I'm saying everything falls, Jordan Harris, on the people that are involved. Yes, they did. I believe, yes, Chuck, about animal control. I'm not sure about that. I'll stay for it. It's only because these people saying things don't know exactly what happened, want to blame the police. I think that's true. Let me go through some of we had her on last night. She's in Florida now. Yep. Thank you, Garney. Yes. But she was in Westerly in August. She was brainwashed. Now it's Stockholm syndrome. She was brainwashed, confused. She wanted to get out, but she was scared. How do you know that? I agree. They were great, Bill. Gianna's such a nice friend. Well, now people are going into brainwashing. What about in August when she was in Westerly? What about August when she was in Westerly? She was out of the situation. She ended up back there. There's no evidence of that. But that was in April. That is ludicrous. Yes. I know, but she, she was scared. How do you explain she was in Westerly in the month of August? Yeah, I agree. Exactly. I don't believe she was there. Gianna, do you mean you don't think she was in Westerly? If Gianna will come on, she did have a high-risk lifestyle. They do. Anyone that goes and hangs around Kennedy Plaza, let me send that. Gianna, I'll send you a link. We'll go a couple minutes. I'm not going to go the full thing. I'm really disappointed with Tiana, who I asked her to watch a language. Really disappointed about that. Let me send. I want to hear what Brianna. Brianna was great. Where are you? Gianna. Okay, I'm sorry. Gianna, I'm going to send you the link. Just for like 5 minutes. All right, here's a question. Can you ask the live? The people who claim they live with these people never reported this, now want to speak out about it. That's a good question. Oh, there's Gianna. Okay.
Hi.
Hi there, Gianna. Let me get rid of them. Okay. All right. First of all, nice to chat with you again.
Yes, of
A lot of
course.
fans. Everyone liked the way you handled yourself last night. So,
Thank you.
what can you fill in the blank? What can you share with us today about what you've been
Okay,
hearing?
so I am close to one of the people that were her payees, and basically she was
Can you
never in
explain what
Westerly.
can you explain what that is? Not everyone knows what a payee is.
Okay, so basically, Erica did have special needs. She was on SSI. She had a payee. Now, basically, she was never in Westerly. Whoever told you that, that's not true. The
Okay.
payee knew that she was at Liz's this entire time. She was not allowed to speak to her, not allowed to see her. They broke her phone, so she couldn't even be the payee. Basically, like, they forced her to sign over and not be the payee, and that Erica was giving them her check.
Oh, okay. Okay. What forever amount that was a month, right?
Yes,
Now, when
I
you were
believe
like
when
when you go ahead.
I believe that when she was staying with me, I didn't charge her. She was getting like the like 9 something.
Like 900 a month?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's good. Then you can see the motivation. They're taking her money and then
Yeah.
letting her live there and then having her clean. Um, tell me again, when you were communicating with her and I think it was the boyfriend wanted to stay there, but then they wanted to use your
Yeah.
home for other purposes. When exactly was that again? Was that back in February?
No. So that was
No.
like last year, and then
Oh,
we still,
okay.
she was couch hopping and stuff. And then
Yeah.
we talked consistently until December. And then within February I hadn't heard from her. And then, you know, I was talking to family about it, her family. No one really seemed to be interested or cared, to be honest. And then in April, our friend Kendra, you saw her in the comments,
Yes.
was posting missing posters. We were all sharing that. And then
Sure.
all of a sudden this a profile is made that says Erica Stitch. It wasn't her. It was Liz. And I
Right.
believed that I was
Okay.
actually talking to Erica, and the whole time I was talking to Liz because I said, okay, then I want to video chat you, and you show me that you're really Erica, and I was blocked.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, that's interesting. So you don't think she was this whole business of staying in Westerly? That
No,
didn't
I
happen.
believe that she was there the whole time, and that, like, I understand what you guys mean by wellness checks. I've been through that, with my old past. I'm not going to get through that, but basically, when you do a wellness check, they don't have to allow you in the house unless you have a warrant. So even if they answered the door and say she's not here, there's no warrant.
Right.
They can't just go in and check. And of course, I know that multiple calls were made. I made 20 calls. If some of the calls were just not, they were probably like, we already checked into this. You know what I mean? We're not going to check into it again. That's probably what happened. That's not really the
Yeah.
law's fault. That's not really legal issues. It's just what happens. She fell under the cracks. That's honestly what I believe happened. She had a lot of issues,
Yeah.
substance abuse, prostitution.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean she was a bad person and deserved this, but you know, people
No,
make their
no,
own
no,
decisions.
no.
She was an adult. She was an adult. But no, she was never in
Gianna,
Westerly.
also, okay. Gianna, what about the neighbor saying she'd see her in the dumpster, like getting food, and then even said, you know, just knock on my door and I'll give you some food, but she never took her up on it.
I believe if that was true, then you would have called the cops and had her rescued. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but if
what
I saw
about-
someone digging through the trash, I'm not gonna just like I would be like, why are you digging through the trash? Why is there screaming and yelling
Right.
at downstairs? Why is there always this commotion? Why is this girl always being hidden in the house? Come on, a lot of people are involved. It's not just the 6 people. That's just my personal opinion.
Okay. And you're probably right. And there seems to be a lot of intermingling. What about that they during the wedding, they just made her watch from the window? That's odd.
Exactly. That's my point. And there was a comment in the section that I hearted. If she's watching in August the wedding from the window, how is she in Westerly?
I agree. I don't know how that that's maybe she was I don't know. What else did I want to ask you? What about and this isn't a bad thing, but the woman claims her man when Erica approached him and just said, I have $4, can I get some weed? And he felt bad and
That's
gave her
true.
like,
That's how Erica was.
Okay.
Erica cared about that stuff. Because there was,
Yeah.
when she was at my house, I was like, hey, why don't I give you some clothes? She was like, yeah, but could you buy me weed? And I was like, I mean, I have no problem with that. I
Yeah.
guess, like, we can smoke. That's cool.
Right.
But I still gave her clothes.
Okay.
But then she robbed me for $200. I forgave her for that. I still let her stay at my house.
Wow.
Yeah, that's just the type of person I am. Like,
Gianna, I
it
won't
wasn't
keep you,
just
but
her.
I want to play that out a little bit of it wasn't just her.
No, it was Corey, her
Did
ex,
you say
her
it wasn't
Corey
when
and
she
her.
was staying? Okay. So you let her and Corey stay at your apartment or home, right?
Yeah.
And how is it they did you leave or you're in the shower or whatever and then you realize they stole $200 from you?
No, I'm a very gullible person sometimes, and at the time I was walking with a walker. I couldn't drive. Long story short, I was paralyzed from COVID 4 years ago. I'm still learning how to walk.
Oh. Okay.
Enough about me, but I let Corey and Erica take $20 out so they could get themselves a little bit of weed. And
Okay.
when they come back, I check my account and there's $220 missing.
Oh,
And they're trying to say, oh no, someone must have stole it, like from your card. And I was like, guys, I'm not that stupid.
Wow, Gianna, you're very trusting. So you let them actually use your bank card to get the money. Oh boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was probably him that did it. Oh my God.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know because Erica, my husband's with me right now. Erica was the type to steal.
See, and that, I mean, you're very patient. You think you're good enough to let them stay with you. Then you're good enough to take my card and go just take out $20, get yourself some weed. And then they like that. But people like that in general, it burns bridges. And that's why then people say, they do this to family and friends and people. It's a very careless life of it's kind of like a buyer beware for anyone that encounters them. I mean, I hate hearing that because you were doing the right thing as their friend. Stay with me, give you a little bit of cash, and then they take advantage.
Oh, I didn't charge her at all. I didn't charge her at all.
No, I believe you. And then on top of that, how did they approach you? Was it Corey trying to say, hey, would you mind? We're going to have a guy come over and he wants to spend some time with her alone.
So I'm not trying to make my husband uncomfortable because he doesn't really know this. They first approached me and said, can I have a threesome with you?
Oh, wow. Oh boy.
And not trying to put her business out there, but she was positive for H.
Okay.
the sexual
Ugh.
transmitted disease. And I said no. And they said, well, do you mind if
Yeah.
we have someone come over because we need to make money? And I said, no, I have a child in the house. This
Yeah.
crosses a line. You guys need to find somewhere else to go. And Erica was crying and begging that she could still stay with me. And I said, we can still be friends. We can still talk, but you need to leave my house. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And what was Corey like, the boyfriend? Was he from Massachusetts?
I'm not sure. I'm not gonna lie. Erica dated a lot of people.
Okay.
Like a lot. Corey and her were
Yeah.
together maybe 4 or 5 months. He seemed like a nice guy until they were there for a little while and they started showing their true colors, like them robbing me and then asking if they could do tricks in my house. Like, no, nope, we're not. Nope, I already forgave you for robbing me. We're not gonna move on to this.
Yeah. Was that the guy she was with they were like walking downtown and he was almost, see, I'm starting to get some of the stories confused. They were definitely,
Yeah.
she had a guy with her and they were basically
That was
trying
Corey.
to turn some tricks downtown.
Yes.
It
Yes,
was
that was Corey.
Okay.
Yes.
And how old, like, was he 30? Was he older than 30?
Corey? No,
40?
Corey was
Yeah.
actually 25 at the time
okay.
when I would
So
dealt with them. So he
just
would be
slightly
20.
older.
He would be my age
Yeah.
now. He would be my age now, 27.
Okay. Huh.
He looks older though.
Well,
I know
he
Corey
does.
from my past. He was like my daughter's
Okay.
father's friend.
Okay. Okay. Well, all right. Anything else, Gianna? You're so good. You're such a good friend. I'm happy for you and Frank. I hope you
Thank
are
you.
better with your recovery. Anything else that you want to clear up? I know, people are really dwelling on that police wellness check in April, but I don't.
Oh, I am too.
That's a tough
I
one.
called 20 times. I did call 20 times. From like April to like September. I didn't call like all of April. I will admit to that because once I did that one call and that wellness check was made, they said she wasn't there. I was like, okay, maybe she really isn't there. And then I was getting more and more information. So like on my own, I would still make tips and says like I believe that she's still there at this location, but nothing ever came to it because maybe because of the wellness check in April they didn't find anything.
Right. I just want to address, and I'm going to let you go in 2 minutes, but this, first of all, this Cheryl Ann, this is a moronic comment. Still no reason to kill. Well, there's never a reason to kill.
No,
I don't know what,
no, never.
I don't know where this stuff is coming from. And it all falls on those 6 people. What we're trying to do is, this was not an easy situation. It was a complicated situation. And I think, and all this, like I called more and I kept calling in, but I want to ask.
I did call more than once. I just said I called 20 times.
Yeah, but not you. But I'm talking about some of these other people. But how come?
Oh, I'm talking about the comments.
None of them. How come? Oh, okay. How come none of them went over to the house and said, "I'm removing her"?
I actually, like on that fake profile, I said because at the time I couldn't drive, I was still wearing like AFO long braces on my legs, and I said I'll take an Uber over there and get you, and I was blocked.
I'm just wondering some of these other people. There's a TikTok. Stephanie posted her kids. Erica's in the background folding laundry. That sounds like the situation that she just kind of accepted was, I'm going to hand these people my money. They're going to let me stay here. And then I have to do these chores like cleaning and laundry and things like that.
Knowing Erica, that's exactly, she was like, yes, she was 24. We keep saying she's 24. She had the mind of a 13-year-old. When she is told something, she is going to do that. If she is told, I want your whole check and you're going to clean my whole house or you have to leave, yeah, that's exactly what she's going to do.
She'll do it. Okay. So, all right. Well, Gianna, again, nice to chat with you again. You're a good friend.
Yeah,
and I like having you help us clarify the story because there's so many
because there's
people
so many
that now come
BS in the comments. There's a lot of BS in the comments that I have to clear up.
Okay. And just the element of these people, and I'm not saying you, but some of these other people, I called the cop. Well, why? I don't understand why no one went over there unless the people that were calling were fearful, which would be if they said I went over there and Liz and Josh and they were threatening me. And so what? I mean, I don't know that, but I don't understand a little bit of some of
Kendra
the
did
people.
go
Like I
over
just,
there. Kendra did
oh,
go
she
over there
did.
and she video recorded what was going on. They
Kendra
never went
Starr.
inside the house. Yes.
Huh.
She has the
And
videos of
what
like
happened when
being
she went
there.
over there?
She was screaming and yelling for them to let
And
them
do we see?
let the people. I'm sorry.
Was Erica
What were
in
you
the
saying?
video?
No, she was
Was
never.
Erica in the
That's the
video?
thing.
No.
No, she was never seen. So the police never went in. Liz and I believe Stephanie were screaming in the video, she's not here, she's not here, she's not here. And Kendra's like, I know she's here, I know she's here, I know she's here. And it was just back and forth, but the police never went inside.
Right. Okay. All right. Gianna, maybe I'll talk to you tonight. Hi to Frank.
He's
All
right
right.
here.
We'll talk to you again.
All
all
right,
right.
thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Gianna. All right, everybody. Listen, we'll probably be back tonight. It's a lot. Let's see how the day maps out on this Thursday.